Story 2. Rust and Whispers, a camping nightmare. I'm going to now share a chilling story that happened a few years ago. It's one of those experiences that you never think could happen to you until it does. So grab your blankets, turn off the lights, and let's dive into Rust and Whispers, a camping nightmare. So 2018, spring break, the memories. I was in high school and my friends and I were, well, let's just say up to some typical teenage antics, and when you're a teen, you're always on the lookout for a new adventure, right? So my buddy Doug suggests a camping trip. I mean, why not? We've got Lewis, Isaiah, Doug, and me, Eric. The perfect group for some harmless fun. Doug had found this spot near a lake, and when he described it, it sounded epic. We're talking clear water, secluded woods, and a sky filled with stars. So we loaded up the car with camping essentials. And by essentials, I mean some beer and a little hard liquor. Hey, we were teens. Don't judge too harshly. As we were driving there, blasting the latest trap music, everything was perfect. You know that feeling when you're on the road? The windows down, the music up, and everything's just right? That was us. But as we got closer to our camping spot, things started to feel a bit off. We drove past these tall, dark trees, and let me tell you, those trees felt like they held secrets. As we continued, we noticed houses with these weird tin chimneys, all puffing out smoke. Now remember, it's early spring, no need for heating up homes. That was the first red flag. But being the brave souls we were, we shrugged it off. When we reached our spot, it was perfect, just as Doug described. We set up camp, and as we were about to really kick things off, Doug and I noticed an old, rusty truck in the distance. And not just any truck. It was like one of those ancient green Fords, the ones you'd see in a horror movie. Naturally, we went to check it out. The closer we got, the more details we noticed. Newspapers from ages ago, beer cans, needles, and that feeling of being watched. Have you ever felt like someone's eyes are just glued to you? That's how it felt. And as Doug pointed to the truck's cab, my heart stopped. There, staring back at us from inside the truck, was a man. His eyes, devoid of pupils, stared into our souls, and his smile, oh man, it was the most unnerving thing I've ever seen. We made a run for it, laughing it off as some weird local or a prank. But deep down, I think we both knew that wasn't the case. Back at our campsite, the night carried on. We joked, played music, and had a few drinks. The fun distracted us from our earlier encounter. But as night fell, things took a turn. You know those moments at night when everything's silent, and you start to hear the smallest sounds. The rustling of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, or the soft whispers of the wind. That's what happened. But instead of nature's sounds, we heard something else. The sound of an engine revving. Before we could react, headlights illuminated our campsite, blinding us. It was that truck, the same rusted green Ford, and behind the wheel was the man, his eyes still hauntingly white and his smile stretching from ear to ear. Panic took over. We scrambled, grabbing our stuff, leaving behind whatever we couldn't carry. As we sped away from that nightmare, the truck pursued us. The chase seemed endless. Every turn we took, he was right behind us. By some miracle, we reached the main road, and as the lights of civilization came into view, the truck halted, the man's laughter echoing as he disappeared back into the woods. Back home, we tried to make sense of it all. Who was he? Why was he after us? We never got answers. The only reminder of that night is the chilling memory of those white eyes and the haunting whispers of the wind. Story 3. Echoes in the Forest, the Midnight Visitor. Finally, I've got a spine-tingling tale for all you adventure and mystery lovers. If you thought our last camping story was creepy, oh boy, are you in for a treat. Gather around and let's dive into Echoes in the Forest, the Midnight Visitor. Camping, it's that perfect escape, isn't it? Away from the hustle and bustle, back to nature. Now I consider myself a seasoned camper. But there's this one trip, this one experience that still sends shivers down my spine. It was a clear spring day and I was itching for a new trail to explore. After some research, I found a trail a couple of hours away, untouched by my hiking boots. So, I packed my essentials, grabbed my trusty companion, Henry. For those new here, he's my loyal dog, not a person. And off we went. The trail was serene. Birds chirping, the gentle rustle of leaves, and the rhythmic crunch of gravel underfoot. But as we ventured deeper, the forest seemed to grow denser, the shadows darker. It's amazing how quickly nature can change its mood, right? A couple of hours in, and I noticed someone up ahead, an older guy, maybe in his 50s. He was walking slower than us, and as we approached, I called out a friendly heads up. But he didn't react, didn't even acknowledge us, just kept on walking. I remember thinking it was odd, but hey, maybe he was just lost in thought. We found the perfect camp spot just as the sun was setting, a cozy clearing with a makeshift fire pit. As I set up camp, Henry went off exploring. But when he returned, he was different. nervous, skittish. It was like something had spooked him. As night fell, we settled in, the soft glow of the campfire our only light. But then, something broke the peaceful night sounds. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps approaching our camp. My heart raced. I strained my ears, trying to make sense of the direction. And then, a voice. A raspy, eerie laugh that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. I grabbed my pistol. Now let me be clear, it was only for emergencies. Bear encounters mostly, but this felt like an emergency. Henry was growling, every hair on his body standing on end. And then, the voice spoke. "Haha, okay." It was mocking, taunting. The footsteps faded, but the unease lingered. Neither Henry nor I slept that night. Every rustle, every sound seemed amplified. As dawn broke, I packed up, eager to leave, but then I noticed something that stopped me cold. My tent had been slashed, a clean cut from top to bottom. Someone or something had been right there while we slept. We made our way back, every step weighed down by the previous night's events. As the forest thinned and the familiar sounds of civilization grew louder, I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. When we finally reached the trailhead, relief washed over me. But as I was loading up the car, a park ranger approached. "You camped out there last night?" he asked, a concerned look on his face. I nodded, recounting the night's events. His face paled. "You're lucky," he said. "There's a legend about this forest. They say there's a spirit, a man who once lived here. He's protective of these woods, doesn't like intruders. Many have reported hearing his voice, always at midnight." I was stunned. A legend, a protective spirit? Had I encountered the ghostly guardian of the forest? I may never know. Wow, what a story, right? Have you ever had an encounter with the supernatural while camping? Drop your stories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more thrilling tales. Stay curious, stay adventurous, but most importantly, stay safe. Catch you in the next one.